Atlantic shakes the forest floor. The mountain echoes call our name. We march through fire.
Alright, hit that like, everybody. I think we're up and running. Hi back. Mic check. And Instagram will be up in a moment. There we go. We're all Scottish now. Right? I don't have to tell you. let's go. It's time to do the show and send a bunch of love out to our friends over there in Scotland who are giving Trump the right shit he deserves. About time. I couldn't be happier. And seriously, that dude can kiss it. Yeah? Right. I gotta download that song and keep it. Oh, it's so good. That there. There you go. Right. Alright. That's so good. Alright. Welcome to the show. So I took my theme song and I put it in one of those AI programs and said, hey, make a bagpipe version of it, yeah? And fucking A, right? That's what it did. It made me want to go and watch Grant Morrison's video on how to do sigil magic again. Punk rock, yeah? So, hello and welcome chat room, good to see you. If it's not Scottish, it's crap. I think we can all agree on that, yeah? There we go. And I got to put these two theme songs in my music bank so I can have them later because they're so much fun. Good to see it. There we go. It's the remix. Okay. Remix. Okay, I put these in the stream docs, I think. Let's go in there. Yeah. And then I'll take them and put them in there. Yeah? I think it sounds pretty good. Yeah? They do that. This is the one. I think this is the one I like the most. But we'll see. We can mess around with them, you know. Let's go here. This one. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. That was nice too. All right, sorry, this one. My bad. I made a bunch of these because I was dicking around. Actually, it's something you can do and you just make it happen in the background. You don't have to actually do any extra fucking work, which makes it both great and fucked up. Yeah. That was the good one. That was pretty because it starts with a nice straight up, you know. I put a green on that one, so use that. Yeah. Okay. Scottish theme. Yeah, that's good. I like it. Okay, now back to work. All right, now I'm done with that. I was just having too much fun, and you guys were having too much fun, and we're all having too much fun. I gotta say, I'm very disappointed in Glenn Beck and all of his dipshit friends who are trying to dodge the bullet now. There are a couple of people at the Blase that are not allowed. You're watching Hal Sparks Megaworldwide, by the way, the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. I'm Hal Sparks. I'll be Hal Sparksing the rest of the evening. Like, subscribe, and give a thumbs up. Support the show. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. Also, the Venmo is right there in case you want to buy me a cup of coffee. Or you're like, hey, this dude's on it, and I want him to get off. So maybe I'll buy him a cup of coffee. Help support the show. It's great. Anyways, from that point on, can I just do the show now? Am I allowed to just do the show? Can we just share the show and get out there? All right. Now, otherwise, I will get straight up into the Scottish music again, and we'll have too much fun. Now, you'd pay for a Hellish Garden Gnome. I'm not that short, goddammit. Okay, so, needless to say, Liz Wheeler is one of the people who was giz slapped by Pam Bondi and that crowd, brought to the Oval Office, not to the DOJ. I always going to point that out. Can I just remind everybody that all these asshole right-wing influencers who were brought in to parade around the Epstein files folders and all that shit were not invited over the DOJ to Pam Bondi's office to be given the shit. They were invited to the Oval Office to receive these. So fuck off with this. It's Pam Bondi's fault. Stop blaming the woman, you pigs. All right. Now, on top of that, I mean, I have no love for Pam Bondi, dipshit enabler, but the idea that Bongholio or Patel or Trump himself aren't equally as culpable, and Trump isn't the worst of them all because he actually is the fucker in the files, in the evidence, I should say. He's in the evidence, not just the files. He's in the evidence. And by the way, there is new information about Peter Thiel meeting with Epstein a few times, you know, in the last Trump go-around. Again, after his conviction on child sex trafficking, after he had to register as a sex offender in Florida, after that, Peter Thiel goes, you know, everybody deserves a 17th chance, as it were. Okay, so 100 names. Let's see if Liz Wheeler can polish this turd on behalf of the Blase. And let me guess, 99 of them are Bill Clinton and Bill Gates, and Trump ain't one of them.
There are 4 elements to a pretty serious...
Four. Trump and Epstein were best friends for 25 years. Trump and Epstein never lived more than a 9-minute cab ride from each other. Trump and Epstein shared each other's airplanes on the regular, and Trump wished Ghislaine Maxwell well, and because her boyfriend died in jail or was killed, depending on him. Okay, so those 4? Is it those 4? It should be those 4.
Contradiction that we're facing from the Trump administration's narrative on the Epstein files. So, again, begin with Pam Bondi herself.
Yeah. It's always the chick's fault, you know what I mean? If it wasn't for women, I mean, why don't we just go back to Eve at this point? Okay? That bitch started all of this. Now, granted, after she ate the apple, nothing necessarily forced Adam to follow along, and arguably who is more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows her in this particular case? But whatever.
Was the first to publicly contradict herself. She said yes.
Nope. No. Every single day that Patel and Bongholio did not come out with stuff that they said was immediately in their possession, they contradicted themselves. They just didn't do it verbally.
The file is on my desk. Then fast forward, and that was, back before I...
No. The list is on her desk. Now it's the file.
Went to the White House before we got the Epstein files binder.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. Hey, look, everybody. Liz brought it up. That she didn't go to the DOJ to pick this file up from Pam Bondi's office or over to the FBI where they were hot off the presses. Oh, no. They were invited to the Oval Office, the president's office. So no one else is to blame. It's his fucking office. If it had happened at her office, maybe you'd have some stiff-arming, plausible deniability. No.
Those infamous binders. She said, yes, the file's on my desk.
Yeah, why don't you show yours? You have one. Fuck, for all we know, that's what's holding up your little weird sculpture you got from Hobby Lobby.
Well, you fast forward, almost 4 months, Bondi, through that leaked Department of Justice memo, the unsigned one that went to Axios, she said, no, actually, there's no client list. Even though I said there was, now there's not.
No. Excuse me, yeah. Yeah, it's right next to Hunter Biden's laptop. No. She did not say that there's, I said there was a list, and now there's no list. No, they said there's no people, there are no co-defendants yet to be charged. There is no indication that any other high-powered people were involved, and he killed himself in jail, case closed, goodbye, end of story. It wasn't just that there's no list on their desk, it's that all of it is over.
So, obviously, huge contradiction. She says no blackmail, no suicide, no more files for you, even though she says she's the one who made the cover sheet on that binder that said the most transparent administration in history. And now she says...
Yeah, but in her defense, you did eat it up.
Actually, we don't feel it's warranted to give you any more files. Contradiction. You are contradicting yourself. So,
oh my God. It's almost like at some point you have to go, holy shit, it's less about her and more about the fact that I'm a fucking sucker.
Oh, we start there at baseline. That in and of itself, by the way, is unacceptable.
No, it is unacceptable, okay? Shut that down. Thank you, Mini Karen.
But then we have President Trump tell us in response to the outcry after Pam Bondi's...
By the way, people in there are criticizing her hair and other stuff. Now, let me tell you something. Hairstyles are something you can change, so you're willing to criticize them. God knows I catch enough shit from right-wingers who think me having Jesus hair is somehow gay or whatever, their particular pejorative and that kind of stuff. But I will say that her striking resemblance both in look and demeanor and in some cases outfit to Nellie Olson from Little House is not lost on me. And I think many of us think of Nellie Olson as the original, the OG Karen, if you will. Am I not? Is anybody else having flashbacks? Yeah.
Contradiction. He says, well, yes, there are files, Epstein files, but they're a hoax. He said they're a hoax written by Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and Biden and, all the deep staters.
Yes, a hoax they created, put his name in them, and didn't release him. While they still had control of the DOJ and everything. Great. Yep. Okay.
So that's an additional contradiction. Bondi says, yes, there's a file. Then she says, no, there's a file and no more files. Then Trump says, yes, there are files. So my sources, and when I am talking about these particular sources, I am talking extremely high-level sources in the department.
Yeah, bitch, we know. You went to the Oval Office to pick up your fucking folder. What the... Yes, you have the highest level sources. The President of the United States' office is where you picked up your propaganda. That doesn't mean it's meaningful or real or truthful. It's your high-level contacts so far have just been using you as a funnel for propaganda.
Department of Justice. People that know what they're saying. People that have access to everything. My sources in the Department of Justice assured me when I expressed concern to them after Dan Bongino and Kash Patel.
I'm Bangholio. I'm looking for a TP for my bunghole before I quit the FBI. Are you threatening me?
The deputy FBI director and the FBI director went on Fox News with Maria Bartiromo, and they said definitively that Epstein definitely killed himself.
Absolutely.
And I expressed to very high-level sources at the department.
I was mad. I called the beige phone. I don't have access to the red phone, but I have the off orange.
Justice, I was like, you might want to be careful about how definitively you're stating that, because I worry you are falling prey to believing prior investigations by an FBI that we know is corrupt.
No, you don't. According to your people, who are pure as the driven snow and have never lied to you and never will, except when they did, but fuck that. They all told you they've seen the evidence. They didn't read the investigation. They looked at the evidence themselves. If you listen to Bangholio, that's all I'm looking for TV for my bunghole. Bangholio was, he was very clear. He saw the evidence. Kash Patel, I know what it's like to be in a prison for some reason, and I know all the details of this. I can break it down, and I'm here to tell you he did himself in. That's it. I've seen the evidence. It's not. They didn't just read the fucking words off the former report. They threw out the report, went straight to the evidence, and went, you know what? Same conclusion. So fuck you, lady. Don't blame the old FBI because your people are Bangholio are lying to you.
In other words, I said, you're assuming that anything that the FBI had previously put together, it was a previous FBI that put together the Epstein file.
Yes, as that's how time works. It starts at one point and moves in one direction only, insofar as we know.
You're assuming they're a reliable narrator, but you don't know that. And you shouldn't give them the benefit of the doubt, given how
yeah.
dishonest they've been in the past. You don't know.
Hey, they spent years, okay? Bangholio and Patel, they spent years looking at months, days. Well, they looked at hours. They glanced at it and came to the same conclusion. I don't know what to tell you, lady.
Know how the investigation
Never assume. It makes an ass out of you, mate, and she hates it.
was conducted, whether it was honest or dishonest or thorough, or who was interviewed or who wasn't interviewed, or what the bias of the people conducting the interviews were. Like
I know. I'm fairly certain they never even interviewed Donald Trump, who next to Ghislaine Maxwell was his best fucking friend. Right? Thank you, Liz Wheeler. Thank you.
I have no idea whether this was the contents of this investigation are at all reliable. So maybe you shouldn't say definitively that Epstein definitely killed himself if you're basing that on pre-existing FBI files. Maybe you actually shouldn't base any pronouncements on anything that...
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. Liz Wheeler is so onto something here. Like, who the fuck would walk into the Oval Office knowing that the deep state is still there, like Trump has not been able to get the deep state, and would just take a fucking binder from somebody who'd previously been, in the same office that gave Epstein his sweetheart deal, and just walk out with a binder and go, wee, look what I got. Like, don't fall for it.
The FBI has ever done. Maybe you should start fresh. That's kind of why we voted for you. That's what we wanted you to do.
Yes, go do an autopsy of his ashes. Brilliant. Thanks. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Okay, CSI the shit out of this.
This is what I say to very high level sources within the Department of Justice.
And what they said back was, that was a quote.
And the response that I got from those sources was they assured me that that pronouncement was not that pronouncement and how they were operating was not relying simply on pre-existing FBI files, that this was a new investigation or this was their own work. Well, I have to tell you, given the updates that have happened in the last couple of weeks, I don't believe them.
Oh, Liz. Et tu, Liz. Damn. You work at the Blase and they let you talk like that? Oh, somebody get that woman a second binder.
And the reason I don't believe them
is because they're obviously lying, and Donald Trump is on video partying alone with Jeffrey Epstein multiple times. He's in his company with other skeevy fuckers too.
It's partially because it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, it all fits together pretty well if you're allowed to add Trump to the equation. If you remove that part and you got a big X there and you're like, I can't solve for X, they won't let me. I don't quite know how you'll ever get a solution. But maybe that's the point.
But now we're actually given conflicting information from the Deputy Attorney General. Todd Blanche says in his post today that, yes, the FBI did rely on the existing FBI files. That was the very nuanced sentence that we read before. Namely, he says, that in the recent thorough review of the files maintained by the FBI in the Epstein case, no evidence was uncovered that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties.
Luckily, I guess. So the files maintained, so that doesn't include the ones that were, I guess, thrown out during the first Trump administration?
Well, wait a second.
Uh-oh.
That means nothing.
Yeah, the Nellie Olson show, live from the general store.
In the sense that it's not going to produce us any new information. We didn't vote for President Trump to put based individuals in charge of the Department of Justice only for these individuals to look at a
based
pre-existing narrative written
and go based
by people who hate us. You know, think about the people that worked for Biden. If they have an algorithm where they say 2 + 2 + 2, well, we don't need Todd Blanche to look at that and be like, yes, I confirm to you that equals 6. So 6 must be the answer. No.
It is. That is. That is the answer, actually. I don't know why you'd need to redo math like that. Yeah. You think I'm going to trust that 2 + 2 + 2 = 6 when we both know it's 8 because 2 + 2 is 4 and 4 + 2 is 2 4s and that's 8? Maybe 16 now. Who's laughing? Okay?
No. We voted for President Trump to put based people in charge of the Department of Justice. So
who will add up 2 + 2 + 2 and end up with 4?
that they literally brush those numbers off the table and
Yes. I don't believe even the number 2 story that he's telling right now.
start fresh.
Yes, fresh is number 2.
Because obviously, inside the Department of Justice, obviously inside the FBI, obviously inside the Epstein files, there's not going to be something in those files readily available and accessible that contradicts the public narrative.
Yeah, those files were collected when Trump was president and the dude died in jail. I mean, we're supposed to trust those? I mean, obviously you did. Bloop. But.
And this train of contradictions.
Oh my God, it's almost like it's completely in line with the rest of like everything else Trump talks about.
Is one of the reasons that this story is not going to go away.
Ooh, that and the fact that Donald Trump was friends with a child predator for 25 fucking years.
Because it's not just botched communication. There is something going on
that may involve Donald Trump being friends with Jeffrey Epstein for a quarter century and covering up his involvement in the man's crimes. I'm kidding. It's something else. It's got to be something else.
That doesn't make sense. It's insane.
Yeah, it is fucking insane that you're defending and voted for multiple times Jeffrey Epstein's fucking wingman, you tit. What the goddamn shit? What's going on? Why in the world? Why can't they see this? What is it? What the fuck? What? How? I mean, it must take incredible willpower, just like focus and intent. Like, do not remember that Trump talked about Tiffany's tits right after she was born, said sex was what he had in common with Ivanka, was called Jeffrey Epstein a fun guy to be with, and like girls on the younger side, said that the floor of girls he would fuck is 12. How much, like, the mental strength it must take to keep those thoughts out of your fucking dome. I don't know how you do it. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe she started as a brunette. Maybe that's what happens to you.
Department of Justice had not already talked to Ghislaine Maxwell, hadn't even tried to talk to her. Are you kidding me?
No. She got sentenced. She went to jail, and she's trying to appeal, and nobody's going to offer her a fucking deal when they have the files and other people and victims to talk to. And by the way, hold on. Fuck this. So sometimes it's so... Let's see. Epstein. Accomplice. Okay, these are Haley Robinson. I don't need to look at her. I need to look at... there we go. Da-da-da-dum, da-da-do. A judge says that Sarah Keller was criminally responsible in Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking scheme during Ghislaine Maxwell's sentencing hearing. This dude. How could you have known? How could you have known? By the way, what's this fucking loop trident Jeffrey Epstein fucking snake trident logo thing going on? All you fucking QAnon assholes. Federal judge said Sarah Kellen was criminally responsible in Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking scheme. Witnesses at Ghislaine Maxwell trial said Kellen scheduled sexualized massages with him. Prosecutors haven't charged Kellen, who has described herself as a victim. In Ghislaine Maxwell's trial last year, a name kept popping up over and over again. It was another woman who, witnesses said, played an instrumental role in facilitating Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse of teenage girls. Sarah Kellen. Kellen, multiple witnesses said during the trial, played a similar role as Maxwell in Epstein's sex trafficking scheme. Starting in 2002, she worked in Epstein's office building on Manhattan's Upper East Side. One of Epstein's private pilots said she worked as a personal assistant for both Epstein and Maxwell. Hold on, I want to say. She scheduled flights on Epstein's private jets and arranged for his victims to be on them. Witnesses says Kellen also arranged massages, up to 3 a day, where Epstein would rape his victims. Witnesses testified. One of the victims in the trial, Carolyn, testified that on at least one occasion, Kellen took nude photos of her before a sexualized massage appointment with Epstein that she was paid hundreds of dollars for. Kellen's name came up again in court on Tuesday during a hearing where U.S. District Judge Allison Nathan sentenced Maxwell to 20 years in prison. In discussing the scope of Maxwell's role in Epstein's sex trafficking scheme, Nathan identified Kellen as a knowing participant in the criminal conspiracy and said she was a criminally responsible participant. The defendant was Epstein's number 2 and the lady of the house. Nathan said, referring to Maxwell, at some point, Kellen took over some of the defendant's duties, but even after that time, the defendant retained her leadership position as evidenced by Caroline's testimony. Photo of Ghislaine Maxwell and Sarah Kellen. Ladies and gentlemen, this lady right here, Sarah Kellen, the heir apparent to Ghislaine Maxwell's sex trafficking role in and around and under Jeffrey Epstein. She's never been questioned. Here's an idea. How about fuck asking Ghislaine Maxwell questions because she's already got a 20-year sentence. She could go to jail. How about offer Kellen a deal to not go to jail? My guess is the chances of her, telling you, more are higher because she doesn't want to go to jail at all. Never heard of this woman, Kellen? Yeah, she came up repeatedly. Today, Kellen lives in Manhattan in a $5.6 million house, by the way, a short walk from the courthouse where Maxwell was sentenced. She was photographed in Soho on Friday by photographers for the Daily Mail, which reported she lives in a $5.2 million penthouse in the neighborhood with her husband, the race car driver, Brian Vickers. Kellen has also used the names Sarah Vickers and Sarah Kensington. She also owns a $6.2 million penthouse in Miami. It's not clear why prosecutors have not brought criminal charges against Kellen. They didn't call her as a witness in Maxwell's trial, during which Maxwell's lawyer argued their client was a scapegoat for Epstein and Kellen. In 2019, the New York Times reported that the prosecutors were considering charges against her. In an interview with The Sun in 2020, Kellen described herself as a victim of Epstein who was raped and abused weekly. But as discussion on Tuesday hearing about how to apply sentencing guidelines for Maxwell, U.S. Attorney Allison Moe said Kellen's involvement working for her and Epstein illustrated the criminal conspiracy's scope. When you look at the defendant's role in earlier years, she was doing things like calling victims and arranging for massage appointments. As the scheme shifted, they brought in another member of the scheme beneath them in the structure and hierarchy of the scheme. The defendant remained a close associate. She was often traveling with them, often traveling with Kellen together. So as Kellen took on some of the tasks that were then delegated to a lower member of the conspiracy, the defendant was higher up in the leadership structure. Kellen could not be reached for comment. Now, there's always an issue where you've got victims, possibly being, groomed for this kind of stuff. But once you reach a certain level of adulthood, and you certainly have an opportunity to turn state's evidence against awful people like that, you do, I suppose, unless there might be somebody up there that you're afraid of. I would give her the benefit of the doubt in that regard, right? But at this point, you're better off coming forward so that everybody has the information you have instead of you're the only one who has it and you can die with it in your head.
So what you're telling me is that Merrick Garland's Department of Justice found time to arrest pro-life grandmothers who were praying outside of abortion clinics?
Nope. They weren't arrested for praying outside a clinic. You can pray outside a clinic. You can't trespass, and you can't block the walkway for pregnant women and girls who are getting prenatal care, for example.
Merrick Garland's Department of Justice found time to raid the apartment of one of our team members when he was a Project Veritas journalist because he had dared to investigate Ashley Biden's diary.
No, it wasn't investigating. It was stealing it or buying stolen goods, which is still illegal. The other thing, too, is if somebody gives it to you, there's a question about, as a reporter, whether you can have it or not, whether it's somebody's proprietary property and its newsworthiness, and whether it's legit or it's been modified in any way, and you can claim that it's been, when there's no chain of evidence in it. But if it's been stolen or given against the will of the person who owns it, that's illegal.
Merrick Garland's Department of Justice found the time to target parents who didn't want their children to be indoctrinated with critical race theory and trans ideology.
Nope. Just the ones that threatened to put a car bomb in the vice principal's vehicle.
Merrick Garland's Department of Justice found time to vilify Catholics as domestic extremists.
No, Biden is a Catholic. He managed to go to Mass every fucking Sunday. And Trump won't set foot in a church unless it's mandatory for the job. And even then, he either falls asleep or is visibly bored.
But not to interview Ghislaine Maxwell?
Well, again, you don't have to interview her. She was tried and convicted. They convicted her. The Biden administration, the DOJ, convicted her and got her 20 years in jail. She's 60. The idea that she's going to get out when she's 80 is kind of fucked.
What? Now,
well, is all that worse than Donald Trump running interference for a giant group of pedophile billionaires?
now I can see, by the way, why there's supposedly nothing in the Epstein files. Because the investigation was terrible. Terrible.
Well, then you can reopen the investigation. Then I think that's what you right. That's the message. Bongholio and
For the TP for my bunghole.
and Patel should just reopen it. Go, hey, where'd all the evidence go? We need to go on a fact-finding mission and dig this shit up. Where'd it go? What kind of an asshole, Bill Barr, allowed the FBI, Bill Barr, to raid Epstein's house without a proper warrant, so they had to leave after they had sawed the safe open, and when they came back the next day, it was empty, Bill Barr, whose dad also gave Epstein his first job at a girls' school.
I say this tongue-in-cheek. This was not a deep, thorough investigation into Epstein at all. It actually makes you wonder, well, who else haven't they talked to? But
Trump?
this is the thing, something that we all agree on here. And it's something I think that's corroborated even by all of the contradicting statements that we're getting from various figures in the Trump administration right now. Something we all agree on is that it was a badly done investigation.
Yes, that's how you put it. A badly done investigation.
Originally. Which somewhat ironically brings us back to the original questions about Epstein.
Is she filming in an IKEA? Yeah, basically. Like all these things are straight off of like the shelves at Hobby Lobby. Like, would you like decor so you can pretend to be a human being?
Why was it a bad investigation originally? Was it because
Donald Trump was in power and Bill Barr was running the DOJ and they collected evidence, and in that evidence was stuff against Donald Trump, and they threw a bunch of shit out of a helicopter into the ocean?
there were politicians trying to cover up their own wrongdoings on Epstein Island?
Yeah. When would that be? During the first Trump administration?
Or was it because Epstein belonged to Intel per the alleged comment or the reported comment from Alex Acosta, who was
covering his own ass because he gave him a sweetheart deal and won't repeat it again? Won't say it in public, won't admit that he said it.
the one who created the non-prosecution agreement, the sweetheart deal in 2007, or both? But all of this just brings us back to that original question. Listen, I am glad that the Department of Justice has finally approached Ghislaine Maxwell for an interview.
Alone? What interview? Todd Blanche is Trump's lawyer. He's still he's still got like attorney-client privilege with Trump personally. This isn't the government. Trump's private lawyer met with her in private.
I hope that she reveals leads regarding Epstein's clients. Anybody, if he trafficked to anybody, who were they? Alan Dershowitz, lawyer, former Epstein lawyer, said a week and a half ago that he knows the names of the people who are being protected.
Right. And as Trump's lawyer, he can't spill anything about Trump's involvement because he's Trump's lawyer. So he can talk about anybody except Trump. Isn't that convenient?
He said he's not allowed to reveal those names because of
it's Trump.
court order.
No, not because of a court order. Because of attorney-client privilege.
Who are they?
Donald Trump. Donald John Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump and David Copperfield and every other douchebag that Donald Trump hung out with.
I mean, I hope that Ghislaine Maxwell leads investigators to additional Epstein clients because those victims.
Additional? How about just the one that's sitting in the Oval Office right now that fed you a bunch of bullshit a few months ago?
Deserve justice, especially if Jeffrey Epstein was held to a lower standard of justice because of
his friendship with Donald Trump. Jesus Christ, when will these assholes...
reasons that are still unanswered questions.
Yeah, here's the unanswered question. How the fuck are you incapable of putting Trump and Epstein together? Like, again, how much effort psychologically, intellectually, psychosexually, philosophically does it take for you to not just make that obvious direct connection that already exists? You're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, support the show. Now, off we go. So one of the other elements is, of course, the blase, I guess Glenn Beck is not touching any of this shit. He's talking about fucking AI takeovers and how like ex-MTV VJs now have found Christ. Like, he's avoiding this story like the fucking plague. But the people below him can't. This is, what's her name? Dipshit McGee. Yeah, it's Matthew Marsden and Steve Baker and Sarah Gonzalez. Yeah, Unfiltered. This is her show, and this is that table they sit around and like impress everybody by how fucking dumb they are.
So speaking of AG Pam Bondi and the whole Epstein debacle,
Sorry, I feel like this is going to require something. Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
which just could not have been handled more poorly, in my personal humble opinion. You have a couple new developments. Number one, the court that President Trump directed Pam Bondi to go to ask them to release all of the testimony. The court now has questions on, you need to be more specific. Whose testimony do you want? And, do we have victim impact statements on whether or not, have we considered those? Do we have them? So the court is pushing back now on whether or not they want to release that. But now, Pam Bondi, despite that setback, posted on X this was a statement from her Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche.
The guy who met in private with Ghislaine Maxwell, who's also Trump's private attorney and never stopped being his private attorney. And seen.
The joint statement by the DOJ and FBI of July 6th remains as accurate today as when it was written. Namely, that in the recent thorough review of the files maintained by the FBI in the Epstein case, no evidence was uncovered that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties.
This is I can just feel the weight of that statement. Like, they're double dunking on this. They're coming in and going, hey, remember that memo we put out that set all your heads on fire a little bit ago? We're just going to double down on that and tell you to go fuck yourself again. So, yeah.
President Trump has told us to release all credible evidence.
Credible. Who, if I may, gets to determine what qualifies as credible?
If Ghislaine Maxwell has information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims, the FBI and the DOJ will hear what she has to say.
Right. So why aren't you interviewing everybody else who worked as staffer? Even Kellen, who you could say is a victim. You could argue she was a victim, but she definitely worked with him, and she must be interviewed. Why haven't you interviewed her? Why not? Bring her in. I would argue, Democrats, it might be a good idea to interview someone who was a victim who eventually went to, we want to offer her immunity to talk. How about that? Boy, I bet she'd jump at that shit with her $11 million worth of penthouses.
Therefore, at the direction of Attorney General Bondi, I have communicated with counsel for Ms. Maxwell to determine whether she would be willing to speak with prosecutors from the department. I anticipate meeting with Ms. Maxwell in the coming days, and Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney has confirmed in a response that they are in discussions with the government and that Ghislaine will, they say, always testify truthfully. I mean, if you can't trust a sex trafficker, who can you trust, right?
Ouch. She's supposed to help your dude bail himself out, dummy.
We're grateful to President Trump for his commitment to uncovering the truth in this case. On top of that, the House Oversight Committee this was actually led by Tim Burchett. They voted to subpoena Ghislaine Maxwell over the Epstein files.
Oh, no. It was not led by Tim Burchett. It was led by Democrats, and enough Republicans came over, including Burchett, I think, to make this happen, where Comer couldn't not do it. They had to actually subpoena her because the committee all voted, and enough Republicans crossed over to join all the Democrats to do this.
As well. So things are, I would say, heating up in this. Despite the completely botched
No. Hey, no. I will not let you besmirch them by saying they botched this. They didn't botch this, dumb fuck. They have no intention of releasing this shit. None. They're not gonna let you see this. They're not gonna let the botched part was I guess ever letting you think you were gonna see it. This part's working just fine. You guys are mad, but again, whatever's in the evidence is worse than the fallout of not releasing it. And as soon as you assholes come to that realization, it will all suddenly make sense.
Handling of this from the get-go, we may actually find some truth here.
This was
truth. Oh, truth. I gotta tell you, come on.
so botched.
So botched. Ultra botched. No, it wasn't, dummy. The part that was botched was that MAGA didn't fall in line like they were supposed to.
On that Sunday, and it was, of course, released on purpose.
Right, yeah, it wasn't an accidental memoing. There wasn't a drive-by memo. Like, where the fuck is that draft of that memo I never intended to release? What do you mean it's on the internet?
Immediately following the Texas flooding disaster here, thinking that would obscure and distract from this release.
Right, yeah, again, that doesn't sound like botched. That sounds like buried. Dumbass.
The timing on a Sunday, I mean, this is just not when you do it unless it's on purpose for that reason.
Well, how close are we to an actual realization here?
Right.
To hide it. Well, obviously they miscalculated. It was a much bigger blunder than, or it became a blunder. It was.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't. It wasn't a blunder. They gave you the fucking finger, and you're like, he was trying to give me the thumbs up, and the wrong finger came out. It must have been some sort of involuntary muscle twitch. He didn't mean to do this. He was trying to do this, and then he had a cramp, and he told me to go fuck myself when a blunder. God damn. Think about how much you'd have to bullshit yourself to keep saying this was an accident.
Much more of an issue that the MAGA base cared about than they anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
Adorable.
Weren't able to distract or hide it, and so it blew up. And I went after it. I mean, I mean, for the next 24. Hours, I was relentless, and I was going after them all.
Yeah.
Elizabeth says, Hal, do you think Maxwell is running the trafficking syndicate from jail? No, I do not. There are plenty of other people who will step into that role. No. The Epstein part of it is gone, but somebody else is filling that gap. Whether it's somebody related to Les Wexner or not is the question.
Cash, Bongino, the whole crowd.
Yep.
It was a joint sign-off between the FBI and DOJ, despite
No, they didn't sign it.
what the FBI has put out since then and said, oh, no, that was DOJ, that wasn't us. FBI is DOJ. Don't
Right.
listen to that crap.
Right.
And then on
Yeah, it's starting to sound less like a blunder and more like they were trying to flim-flam you and got caught.
Monday night, or technically Tuesday morning at 1:38 a.m., I got a call from the 7th floor of a particular building where a former FBI director used to prance around in women's clothing. And so they say.
J. Edgar Hoover, which is true. And probably the most endearing thing about him, the rest of what he did was awful. That part didn't bother anybody, per se. But the fact that this motherfucker's getting calls from the 7th floor of the FBI and we're supposed to trust him as a source. What'd they do? I can't wait to hear what the FBI called him and told him to say on the Blaze, I guess.
And so I get a phone call in the middle of the night telling me to back off.
Whoa. Whoa. So Patel's office calls this motherfucker, whoever he is, and tells him to, quote, back off.
Shut up.
No, not kidding. And I was,
Wait, did you answer?
See, that doesn't sound like a blunder. Are they, dude, are you fucking this up?
yeah.
Don't say people. I'm doing business here, man.
We spoke for an hour and a half.
Are you awake?
I was just falling asleep.
Really?
And I got a message, and we proceeded to talk until 3 a.m.
Who's we, motherfucker?
And basically, and I've really struggled about going public with this.
Why? Oh, right, because this is the most transparent White House in history. Sure, yeah. I can understand why you would struggle with going public.
But I'm angry enough 2 weeks later that someone in government called a member of the...
Oh, no, not someone in government. A, who, motherfucker? B, maggot. A maggot installed by Donald Trump called you and told you to back off and shut the fuck up. Not someone in government. It wasn't a member of the goddamn deep state. And if it was, why do they have you on speed dial, motherfucker?
Press and threatened me saying, if you don't back off, you're never going to get anything else from us. And I went, after I thought about it for 24, 48, 72 hours, I went, screw that.
Screw you, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, this is not the way it works.
What would make us
Apparently, they think it's the way it works.
any different than what we criticized with the Biden administration and the...
Because nobody in the Biden administration called people up, journalists, and said, back off. They didn't. They might have tap danced around stuff like any White House will ever do, but they sure as fuck didn't call and threaten people.
the left-wing media carrying the water of Joe Biden. I mean, what would make us...
Oh, no. Unless you've got a situation where the White House was calling up members of the, quote, left-wing media and saying, if you don't shut the fuck up about about Joe Biden's being old, we're not going to give you any more inside scoops. If you've got a situation like that, fucking level it out, dummy.
any different if it's like, oh, I'm sorry, we can only cover stories that don't, you only like, right? You approve.
Right.
And anything that you don't approve.
Wait, no. You don't get to lay this off on the last administration. You don't get to lay this off on anybody because, first of all, you have no evidence that anything like that happened at all. None. Nothing. And you certainly don't get to use the fact that you've got this suspicion or paranoia, that you plug every fucking gap with to cover for the fact that the guy next to you was just told that somebody from the FBI on the 7th floor, meaning Patel's office, called and told him to shut the fuck up.
Approve of. If we have any criticisms, we're not allowed to cover that all of a sudden. I mean, that would make us no different than the opposing party that...
Hey, fuckhead, this is worse. What are you talking about? This isn't like, hey, watch it, go easy on Joe. That ain't what this is. This guy was talking about a child billionaire pedophile sex trafficking ring and the connection to Jeffrey Epstein, and the FBI called him and told him to knock it off. Good God, woman.
we so hastily criticize, and rightfully so. Yeah. But we have to do different.
You're not. You're not. You're not doing different. As a matter of fact, you're doing the same thing Trump is doing. You're using some fabricated bullshit apocryphal idea of how the Biden White House ran, which it didn't, to cover for the fact of the way that from a direct contact, your friend who is sitting at the table that is telling you how the Trump White House is running.
This administration should know better.
They should, and...
Why? Trump likes Kim Jong-un, you fucking moron.
And I'm sure that, well, I won't comment on that. Let's just put...
You were about to say, I'm sure they do. Shut the fuck up.
Here's the funny thing. They had your phone number, but they didn't know your character.
Right.
They think the FBI...
Well, it did take them 72 hours.
I didn't, I'm the guy that, the only one of some 1,600 J6 defendants that in his pretrial restrictions, I'm the only one, and I wear this with a badge of honor, was told by the court and by the government that I could no longer drunk text my FBI agent.
I love that so much.
And even then, you're the FBI. Don't you want the guys you're investigating to be drunk texting you?
Right.
Yeah, get all the
no
evidence you
kidding.
can.
I mean, that's how stupid they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait a minute, but you've still got your connections in there? So sorry. So the guy you were talking to on Jan 6th that you were drunk texting is pro-Trump enough to call you up and tell you to shut the fuck up? And he still works there? Talk about the deep state. Jesus Christ.
Not as smart as we think they are. They're the preeminent law enforcement agency in the world, and that is just stupid. And we haven't had a chance to be on here and just talk about the rogue agent story we did a few weeks ago. I was down in Florida tracking this, and they're not smart. And then after
Which
we
is
outed
really
that,
concerning, actually.
It is.
It's very...
Well, by the way, no, it isn't. The fact that you're saying that the proof that they're not smart is that they have contact with you is one thing. But it sounds like you're using like a giant organization and anecdotal stories about individuals within that giant organization to cover for the fact that the top floor of the organization, the heads of that organization, called you and asked you to stop talking about Jeffrey Epstein.
doing
At the
it
end of the day,
again.
they're still government employees.
Right. Well, that's just it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so are our soldiers, asshole. All our members of our military who you pretend to give a shit about are all government employees, fuckhead. Trained by the government. Trained themselves by other government employees.
Here's what I think, though. Again,
Wait, when did this start?
let's do a little bit of reading between the lines, right? Oh, you're looking at me like, what are you going to say?
I mean, I never know with you guys.
I think that
Jesus Christ. I think that as long as I don't bring up the fact that Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump were friends for 25 years, we can polish this turd to a high shine.
I mean, obviously, if you're looking at chain of title of what's happened with these files, have been all over the place. I mean, Southern
Chain of title.
District of
Maybe that's an Australian thing.
New York, it's been a bit of a disaster.
The chain of command.
No. Not chain of command.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Where all
No.
the files are.
Where it's all
whether they still exist.
Who dealt with them?
Yep.
Whether or not someone tampered with them.
Right, the fact that they were all collected during Donald Trump's first term, and Epstein died during Trump's first term, and was never made it to trial during Trump's first term, and Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested, but in the process of being dealt with, or given a deal possibly during Trump's first term, and then she got tried and convicted during Biden's term.
We don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
But if they're talking about going to Ghislaine Maxwell,
Yeah, they're talking about chain of evidence, or chain of custody, of the evidence.
well, firstly, I'd say check your camera, Ghislaine, right? Make sure that there's not a minute gap, right? Because I'd be like,
A lot can happen in a minute.
getting ready in that minute at
3 minutes.
midnight.
By the way, just letting you know, like, anybody who accepts that 10-hour video is from the actual night is full of shit, and not a minute, 3 minutes missing.
But what this could do is it could open up, because you've normally you want to get rid of any kind of way of them getting evidence, right? And they did it with Epstein, but they didn't do it. Allegedly, did it with Epstein, should I say? I mean, but with her, she's alive. She's motivated to spill the beans, right? Because I'm sure they'll probably give her a carrot, right? Mm-hmm. To get out earlier.
Well, she wasn't offered a plea deal originally.
Right. Well,
She has every reason to be
Originally.
like, hey, you work with me, I'll work with you.
and
Why
also
not?
she's going to say, well, there are no victims and there are no, perpetrators. Like, hang on a minute.
Right.
Because if you don't have a perpetrator, how can you have a victim? I don't understand.
Huh. Yeah.
But anyway, she's got every reason to sit down and spill the beans on all these people that just...
Yeah, but I would... I have 2 words as to why she might not. Washington Madam.
threw her under the bus, and she's looking at dying in prison. So you want to get out,
Why
right?
not?
If she
Yeah.
can get out in 5 years and be protected, because that's what she's going to have to be protected, clearly. It'll be interesting to see where this goes, because maybe, look, I don't understand how they can't have all the information, but if they don't have the information, this is clearly a way that they can get the names that they need to get for a prosecution.
No, according to the FBI, they don't even have a way of. And by the way, this is what I was talking about. By the way, 2008, Florida police are. By the way, while during the same presidency, and in the same state that Jeffrey Epstein was giving his sweetheart deal, the DC Madam. Florida police are investigating the apparent suicide of the so-called DC Madam, who was found dead in a Florida mobile home of the Madam's mother Thursday. The Madam, Deborah Jean, was recently convicted on federal charges stemming from operating a prostitution service in Washington, D.C. area with a number of high-profile clients. She was scheduled to be sentenced on July 24th, which is when she would probably have offered, information for a shorter sentence. That would be why she wouldn't come forward.
I don't understand how you can convict someone when you don't have a perpetrator to a crime. Yeah,
well, they're
I don't
obviously
understand
there obviously were customers in this process. When
Obviously not. And according to the FBI, they told you to fuck off for bringing it up. Also, you almost got yourself killed on January 6th to support this motherfucker.
Epstein was arrested the first time down in Florida, 2006. You've probably seen it. It's publicly
During the Bush administration and when Jeb Bush was governor of Florida.
available. The FBI statement to Epstein and his attorneys on FBI, letterhead on one of their forms says as long as he, keeps with the plea deal that they struck for him in Florida, we're not going to pursue any more, charges or problems for Jeffrey Epstein.
He's cooperating with us.
But what did the charge say on that document? What was he charged with? Child prostitution. He was selling children then.
No. That's what he was originally going to be charged with. The deal he made was that he solicited and procured a child for prostitution, meaning he was the client. That was the point, dumb fuck. Can any of these motherfuckers read?
That means there has to be customers.
No, it doesn't. It means he was the customer. The original charges was that he was involved and there were people with other customers. And they allowed him, through Alex Acosta, to plead down to, I'm the only customer. That's what he did. Jesus.
Exactly.
No, not exactly, you dumb motherfucker. How do you not know this?
We're probably never going to see that list. And it's probably not even really a list. It's a lot of
There's an FBI list. It's not his list. And there's a black book that's beyond the one that we've seen. So shut the fuck up.
cases.
And there's ledgers. There's financial books. That's what you want to see. If you want to talk about his client list, that would be his payment schedule. Money that came in, money that went out.
A lot of case files.
God damn, these people are dumb.
Right.
There may be somebody who's compiled it in some form or the other, but that treasure trove of information, I don't think the DOJ has it.
Well, that's what.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of hinting at, is that they.
Oh, yeah. Are you now? Oh, yeah. Are you hinting at the fact that the raids on his properties happened when Donald Trump was president the last time and just happened to be a dude who partied with the motherfucker for 25 fucking years? And then that's when the stuff of fucking evaporated. And if you want a reason why, if it was in the files, if Trump's in the files, why wouldn't they prosecute him? Why wouldn't the Bidens went after him? Because it was all gathered under Trump, and that's when it went fucking missing.
They don't.
But who does? Because it exists.
Somebody's got to have it.
Someone has it somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just too valuable.
It's one of the intelligence agencies. Period. I mean, look, that's who controls the database. That's who controls the videos. That's who controls the tons of gigabytes of.
Oh, I see. So that's why the intelligence community wanted Donald Trump to be president and not Biden or Harris anymore. So they helped him get elected because they could control him. They had him on a leash. That explains so much. And you motherfuckers voted for him to help this happen. You aided and abetted rogue members of the CIA and the deep state to control American policy.
Information about this particular case. And I don't think FBI, I don't think Pam Bondi actually have that.
Which, I mean, which would make a lot of sense, I think.
It would, but it's that, be that as it may, it's...
Jesus Christ. Yeah, like, this is when you need one of those, like, body language experts. You're like, this is the gesture and the eye direction of someone who is, checks notes, bullshitting. Maybe it's, what am I trying to, how do I say this without bringing up Donald Trump's lifelong friendship with Jeffrey Epstein that predates and postdates every piece of evidence about him being a sexual predator? How?
Still really bothers me that she, again, had her office build these binders, put a header.
Ooh, no. Oh, no, shithead. Oh, no. You don't get to, just because you don't play the woman card and get to trounce the other woman, that's not how this works out. Those binders were handed out in the Oval Office. I don't give a fuck who put them together. They were handed out in the Oval. That means that was under the direction of Donald John Trump. Put it to bed, release all the old bullshit, cover my ass, and move on. And then tell everybody there's nothing else to see here.
On the cover, a piece of paper that says, Epstein files for your eyes only. Here you go. Push them out in front of the cameras to go get pictures taken of them.
Push them out of where? Out of the DOJ offices? Out of the FBI offices? Push them out of where? You're never going to make that connection? Please someone send this clip to Glenn Beck. Or the Liz Wheeler one, for that matter. Fuck that dude. This is his organization. These are his shows. He owns these shows.
Knowing that you didn't have anything, that there was no there that you were
Why
giving
would you
these-
do
like,
that?
It just doesn't sit right
Can we
with me.
just...
Gee, what? Can we just say Trump? No, you can't, apparently.
game that out a little bit?
Real quick.
Yeah, please, real quick. Yeah, we don't have a lot of time because you might actually arrive at the only logical conclusion.
Why? Why would you do that?
I can't come up with just like an innocent reason for it.
Because there isn't one. Yes, you're right. Shit, there it is. What did I tell you? Like, they're so fucking close to it, but they can't. There's not an innocent reason. Yes, there's a guilty reason. Donald Trump's fucking guilty, dummy. That's it. You've hit it. That's it. Just say it. You're this close. Just fucking say it.
It makes zero sense. There's
doesn't.
no
It makes 100. It makes total sense, dummy.
upside to it at all.
No, there's no upside to that, but there's also no upside to Kash Patel sitting a year and a half ago on the other side of this wall right here in Glenn's office and telling him it's a little black book. And the director of the FBI has
it.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
And then just a few months later, what book?
Yeah. And
Could it possibly be that you've seen the book, you've seen parts of it, but it isn't the book? It's the evidence. It's the boxes and the video and the audio and the pictures.
now nothing to say. And now Kash Patel and Dan Bongino look like they're being held hostage at gunpoint in their Fox News interview. Like, you're killing them. I don't know what to do.
Gee, it almost sounds like there is a billionaire group of fucking pedophiles that threaten people's lives and threaten to throw them out a fucking window or kill their families if they tell the truth about this. And these guys are victims of it again. And Donald Trump is either a victim himself, if you want to be totally generous to this fucker, but is actively participating in the cover-up to protect his own ass, or is a willing participant.
Yeah. He told himself, that's that. It's just, none of it makes sense at all.
I told you guys it was going away. Like it's got the Epstein thing has no legs whatsoever. It's going to fade by July 4th. Oh shit. $100, the files Trump hid in Mar-a-Lago contain Epstein files. Oh, I completely agree. I completely agree. Did Timu Phil Donahue what? That's awesome. Did Timu Phil Donahue there fall out of televangelist school? Yes. Yes, effectively he did. All right, how am I doing on time? God damn, everything goes by so fast. Now, okay, so this is, by the way, this is the Bongholio post that everybody was flipping out about. This is his whole, like, during my tenure here, fucking 4 months, you dick. Here is the deputy director of the FBI. I have repeatedly relayed to you that things are happening that might not be immediately visible, but they are happening. Okay, let's just start with, if you put out the memo like you put out on that Sunday when the Texas floods had happened, saying that Epstein is closed and like the whole thing's over, forget about it, move on. That's not that. You can't claim, well, shit's still working. There's still gears grinding behind here. No. The director and I are committed to stamping out public corruption and the political weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligence operations. It is a priority for us. What they mean is they will continue to run interference for Donald Trump, who is actively was an active participant or a passive willing partner in Epstein's crimes. But what I've learned in the course of our properly predicated and necessary investigation into these aforementioned matters has shocked me down to my core. So you have seen the Polaroids of Donald Trump getting a lap dance from underage girls that apparently Michael Wolff says he saw. We cannot run a republic like this. I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. Okay, think about what that means. Considering all the fucking Bongholio clips that we watched and how much this guy was comfortable shitting on the government, thinking the Democrats and the deep state, do you think he would be shocked like this by anything that he saw the Democrats doing, considering what he accused them of? Why would he be shocked? I'll tell you why. Because it's Republicans. Because they're participating in it. As a matter of fact, they're the progenitors of all of it. That's what's shocking. It's the only thing that could be shocking. I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. You think if he walked in there and went, hey, remember all that shit I told you about Democrats? Pfft, totally true. Do you think he'd be wrecked by that? Do you think he'd be emotionally damaged by that and staring off into the middle distance and shaking during interviews on Fox News if that was what he learned? No. Yeah, exactly. What he learned is it ain't Bill Gates and Bill Clinton and whoever else that were the, the major people as part of this organization. It was fucking Trump and other people that he liked or who bought into fucking Rumble with him, or the people who like shuffled Russian money through Tenet Media, and the fact that if he belonged to intelligence, it was because they thought they would use him as a double agent against not Israel, and they're pushing back because we have not spied on Israel since fucking since the Ford administration. It's because he was in Russia. That's why. Active shooter loose now in New York City. There was another one this morning too in Reno. He goes. We are going to conduct these righteous and proper investigations by the book and in accordance with the law. So this is him allowing himself some room to drag this shit out. We're going to get the answers we all deserve. Well, who says you deserve the answers? Again, this is like, all the, they determine what constitutes real evidence. As with any investigation, I cannot predict where it will land, but I can promise you an honest and dignified effort at truth. Not my truth or your truth, but the truth. God bless America and all those who defend her. Respectfully, Dan. Hey, Grok, is Trump corrupt? Based on extensive evidence from 2025 sources, including DOJ changes, weakening anti-corruption units, family profiting from crypto and foreign deals, and executive orders halting the Federal Consumer Protection Agency enforcement. Yes, Trump has engaged in corrupt practices like self-dealing and abusing power for personal gain. These are substantiated by Reuters, New York Times, and Brookings reports, despite his denials. Wow. When you've lost Grok on shitter... Yeah, what does Grok say? Yes, Trump is corrupt. Jesus. Oh, thanks. We got 1.1 thousand likes. That's awesome. Hit the like, everybody. And if you hate the show and you're mad at me for bringing this shit up, please give a thumbs down. And if you're on Facebook or Instagram, give me a frowny emoji. Apparently, that's the only thing that helps on there. Also, feel free to share clips of the shows, both the big ones that we have of the sections and then little bits if you feel like it. I think they're all available to do that. It would help us out immensely. You guys are awesome. On to the next thing. Now, chat room, by the way, let me hit this next thing. There you go. This is the... Yeah, this is... Meanwhile, back in the... Yeah, that's the Bongholio thing. Okay, all right. So, in relation to that, Bongholio breaking his silence,
I'm looking for a teepee for my bunghole, which is why I need rusty trombone. Rusty trombone. Are you threatening me with your body odor?
Bongholio breaks silence. Bongholio finally speaks out. This is, I think, that
This
message.
post coming in, some calling it cryptic, from the deputy director.
Hours here at Rumble. Now, deputy head of the FBI. What has he seen that's
Again, if it was something about Democrats, do you think it would shock him to his core?
caused him to post this extraordinary, Gnostic, cryptic, won't believe the things I've seen, they're far beyond your wildest dreams. During my tenure here as Deputy Director of the FBI, I've repeatedly...
Man, ever since I started singing on my streams, everybody's trying to cop my moves. Fucking lame.
...relayed to you that things are happening that might not be immediately visible, but they are happening. Like folks,
blah 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 blah. We saw this
while he's doing of Bongino while he was doing my job now, while he's doing his current job, deputy head of the FBI, and go, look, this is what he said about the Epstein file.
Which, by the way, is kind of like putting Rusty Trombone in charge of the Vice Squad.
When he was doing his show on Rumble, this is what he's saying now that he's got his show at the FBI. Because in a way, isn't it a kind of theatre? I don't know. Let me know in the comments.
Let me know in the comments below if you think he's just full of shit.
And chat what you think about that. Isn't it interesting that we are beginning to see the fruit of the transitions that we discussed, i.e. new elites has emerged. Dan Bongino, though he's run for...
New elites. Jesus Christ. Congratulations, Bongholio. Rusty Trombone is calling you a new elite. Congratulations. Trump is the deep state and you've joined in.
Office before. You don't get Dan Bongino without Rumble. You don't get Dan Bongino without the sort of new power of streaming. And you don't...
Yeah. And you don't get right-wing bullshitters covering for Trump in a legal sense the way they did in online streaming. All right. Nope. You're not going to put that together? You're not going to make that connection? That Trump is taking people who defended him in the media and putting them in charge of getting rid of evidence for him because they put their own reputations on the line so many times that admitting that they were lying would undermine all their credibility and they could never go home again. So now they have to come in and go, yeah, there was never anything there. I mean, I said I would find it if it was there, but I didn't find anything, so...
Get Dan Bongino without, I suppose, Peter Thiel and his investment into Rumble.
Yeah, Peter Thiel. Why would you bring up Peter Thiel? That's weird. Hold on, it's funny that you bring up Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel, and maybe I don't know why. I don't know why. Let's see. It's like let's see. There you go. So should I do that? No, go away. Thank you. I don't. No, okay, go away. Accept. Go away. What? Peter Thiel? You don't say. Peter. You bring up. Why would you bring up Peter Thiel? Well, Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel. You say. Peter Thiel. Paid for Rumble, and one of the former hosts of Rumble is now at the FBI covering for Trump's involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. You wouldn't... No, that wouldn't... Okay, all right. Well, I don't know why you'd bring it up. It's just funny that, oh, shit. God damn, these people are slow. Is he wearing drapes? Yeah.
What will be interesting to see will be how the new elites with their new power. Look how Zuckerberg, forgive this word because it sounds sort of a bit cruel, snaked his way out of alliance with the neoliberal folk into Trump. Look at how Bill Gates,
Yeah, he just snaked.
fully elated, he oozed his way into the kind of affiliation with MAGA. And again,
No. Oozed his way into an affiliation with MAGA. That means that maggots like you suck up whatever ooze comes their way. Yeah, the ooze needs help from you. You got to have an open orifice for that ooze to go into, you dumb motherfucker.
most famously, but as it turned out temporarily, Elon Musk made new alliances. These are all examples of new elites. They're the Carnegie, the Rockefeller, the Rothschilds of this age. People that have monumental influence that goes beyond the power of nations. Look.
Right, and you didn't have a problem with any of them. You were glad to have their support, and you championed their genius until they stopped covering for Trump. Or, in the case of Bill Gates, hated them and vilified them until they did start protecting him.
Us little darlings believing that the information might be in like a tub like that, like a box that you would get from Walmart. Of course it's not. It's going to be on some little drive. It's going to be clandestine.
No. It's not going to be on some little drive. It's going to be on hundreds of drives. Multiple copies of those drives.
Information. We have, our powers of imagination are limited. So we imagine.
Speak for your fucking self, you hack.
The machinations of power in ways that we would watch a soap opera, or let's be favourable and kind, you know, classical Greek drama or comedy, Sophocles, say what you will. But
I see. So being kind is that, you know, is assuming that, you know, we're watching a Greek drama, because no one, I mean, it's unkind to talk about human beings who watch soap operas, because obviously they're weak and stupid and born to be manipulated by the upper crust.
actually, it's so complicated, isn't it? And what Bongino has done is he's lived in both worlds now.
You call that living?
In the words of Joni Mitchell, he's looked at the FBI from both sides now, and he's seen what it's like to critique the FBI from outside to being an incumbent and denizen of the institutions of power. Let's see what James O'Keefe...
Well, look at that edit. What the fuck do you bail out on there, you pussy?
Being an incumbent and denizen of the institutions of power. Let's see what James...
Look at that. Jesus. Cut out that part where I attacked Bongholio for a minute and a half.
O'Keefe was saying, he said, we have a right to know what it is that shocks Stan Bongino to his core. Many people can't handle the truth, but more harm will come from not having it. I like that guy, James O'Keefe. He's a good dude. Let's have a look what Whitney, that's probably how you pronounce it, is saying. Now that Trump is trying to deflect talk of the Epstein-Trump relationship by talking about the Epstein-Clinton relationship, the shift to the Epstein-Clinton relationship will almost certainly focus on Clinton's ties to Epstein after Clinton left office after the year 2000, and will not touch on the 17 visits Epstein made to the Clinton White House. You think of your
Yes, they have.
President of the United States.
Also, interesting jump that you went like these tweets happened in order. That was the one that was just right in the list. It was in your feed, and you just went, hey, look at that. Whitney Webb put one in there. Whitney Webb wrote 2 goddamn tomes about Epstein. So don't even fucking get started on again, none of us care if Clinton's involved. Bye-bye. Don't fucking try to hide behind Clinton's possible involvement and the 17 trips he made to the White House before and then never again early on, whereas Trump was still friends with him for a decade after that.
You could do your own sex trafficking without Epstein. I mean, if you will be punished if you're lazy, Bill Clinton. I mean, mind you, though, when he tried to do it himself in the office, I'm not calling Jeffrey for this one. I'm just going to traffic this woman that's walking past. Hey, Monica, I'm going to traffic you. Cigar, saxophone, saxophone,
Okay, fuckhead. She was an adult woman. And with agency. And even though the president has power, she didn't get threatened, and she was a willing participant in it. Alex Jones says she was a fucking Mossad agent at this point, which is just how gross these motherfuckers have gotten. But again, Trump and Epstein and his whole I hope Tiffany's tits look like her mom's. We're just going to skate past it. Like said, by the way, after the Monica Lewinsky affair. Again, 2 adults.
My phone. Oh shit, I should have got Jeffrey involved. There's sperm all over this goddamn office. JFK never had to put up with this. Why don't I get to use the tunnels? Why don't people think it's cool when I do it? I want to be loved by you, just you, nobody else but you. I want to be loved by you.
I guess this is the hard sell. This is what you have. This is like the tap dance you have to do if you don't want to say Trump was a client. Right? I think that's the, you know what I mean? This is the whole, like, 1, 2, 3.
Alone. Happy birthday, Mr. President. You know, a lot of these things are timing. To do so would lead to too many troubling questions for the uni party, such as, who was Mark Middleton? Worth finding that out, Whitney Webb, she knows the score. Who is Mark Middleton? What were Epstein and Wexner actually using the CIA-linked airline Southern Air Transport for? Yeah. Why was Robert Rubin the first person to invite Epstein?
Oh, yeah. Southern Air Transport. Didn't they move to Ohio? That would be the airline that was used for Iran-Contra. Let's see. And Les Wexner bought it, right? Yeah. There we go. There you go. I'm fairly sorry. I was like, close this down. There we go. And let's see. And because Epstein... Oh, where is this shit? Hold on. I'm going to try to do that. And because Epstein arranged for a CIA airline, Southern Air Transport, to move to Ohio, who the fuck is Ohio? What's Ohio? Ohio is Jim Jordan? I mean, that's... If you want to talk about, like, sexual misconduct and trafficking and abuse, like, immediately goes to Ohio to work with Les Wexner, who's out of Columbus, the business partner of alleged Meyer Lansky, successor to Eddie DeBartolo Sr. As the logistics man for Wexner, Epstein arranged for the arrival of Southern Air Transport to Rickenbacker Air Force Base in Columbus, Ohio. This airline, formerly Air America, was infamous as an illegal gun and drug running thing. This was used during Iran-Contra. As the logistics man, that was. Okay, that's Columbus Express. Yeah, so Les Wexner, who gave Epstein power of attorney while Trump was really good friends, bring that up.
To the White House, yeah. What was Commerce Secretary Ron Brown due to testify about before he died in a suspect plane crash? People do die a lot, don't they, around the
around
Clintons?
Huh, that's weird. Hold on. Trump. Yeah, do they? Yeah, a lot of people just randomly die around... Oh, shit. Sorry, this is the wrong story. 3 Trump casino executives killed. 3 casino executives who worked for billionaire real estate developer Donald J. Trump were among 5 people killed Tuesday afternoon in a helicopter crash in New Jersey, about 40 miles north of Atlantic City. 3 officials, including Trump's top 2 gaming industry executives in Atlantic City, were returning from New York, where they'd been promoting an upcoming boxing match between junior middleweights Hector Camacho and Vinny Pazenza. The 3 casino executives killed were Stephen Hyde, Mark Grossinger Edis, and Jonathan Bananev. The 2 remaining victims, who were not immediately identified, were believed to be the pilot and co-pilot of the helicopter. Hyde ran Trump's 2 operating casinos in Atlantic City, known as Trump Plaza and Trump Castle, while Edis was going to run the Taj Mahal, the $1 billion casino and hotel that Trump plans to open in Atlantic City next April. Bananev was senior vice president of Trump Plaza, where the Camacho-Pazenza fight was to be held on February 3rd. They were fabulous young men in the prime of their lives, Trump said in a statement issued from a New York office. No better human beings ever existed. We're deeply saddened by this devastating tragedy. Our hearts go out to their families. The leased helicopter crashed in a heavily wooded area on the median strip of the Garden State Parkway that runs down the New Jersey coastline. There were no survivors. You know, people just die around the Clintons. Especially the Clinton casinos. Right? Weird. Isn't that funny? You guys know all about that, right? Chat room. Does everybody know about the the guys involved in Trump's casinos that died in the helicopter crash. Also, by the way, do you know that Trump can't have, you know how, like, if you get off the airplane in here in Vegas, go through the airport, there's gambling in the fucking airport. There's machines, there's like slot machines everywhere. If you go to almost any like convenience store, there's slot machines in there. Okay, they have gambling licenses. Like convenience stores have gambling licenses. Okay, here you could run a poker game in a fucking 7-Eleven basically here if you wanted to, if 7-Eleven would allow you, because they can get licensed. You know that Donald Trump can't have gambling in his fucking building. The reason he has a residential tower here and a hotel is because he can't have a casino. They won't give him a gambling license because he's not trustworthy. Think about that for a second. All right, now back to this dipshit.
If Trump actually wanted to expose the Epstein-Clinton relationship, he could release all the info on Mark Middleton, who died in a totally impossible suicide after Epstein's 2019 arrest. And the scandal often referred to as Chinagate, ASAP. But he won't, because it involves his favourite ally nation state, DFC, and some still powerful oligarchs doing very illegal things. I think we all project onto Trump what we want Trump to be to some degree. Perhaps we do.
No, I don't project on what I want him to be. I look at him as he is. A fucking scumbag. Maybe, you know what, for all practical purposes, maybe he's just seeing his own reflection in, Rusty Trombone projects onto Trump himself, and that's what he sees too. He just likes it.
That of all patriarchal figures, maybe even leaders. It's probably complicated. But anyway, my point is this.
What?
I kind of wanted the rabble-rousing bull in a china shop Trump to continue, just like casting out, this is what happened to JFK, this is the Epstein files, this is what...
Yeah, except...
what's going on with UFOs. I wanted that kind of stuff. And it's kind of naive to imagine that you might get such things, because consider Dan Bongino, deputy head of the FBI, is essentially trying to let us know that he is massively conflicted and struggling as a result of the twin obligations he has to carry...
Whoa. No. Because whatever his twin obligations, the Rumble Dan Bongholio and the guy in an office where he has to enforce the law, where's the conflict if it's Democrats? Where's the conflict? Honest to fucking God. Why would it be a struggle for Dan Bongholio if he opened up the files and went, holy shit, look at all the Democrats in here? Why would there be any kind of conflict with the old Dan Bongholio, who's on Rumble shitting on Democrats all the time, insisting they're all criminals, and getting in there and like, wow, the evidence points exactly to where I thought it would go? Holy shit. The only way he would be wrecked and struggling with this is if the exact opposite is true. The only reason he would put out a cryptic message at all is because he can't just come out and go, it's the fucking Democrats, which he would love to do. He has to come in and go, holy shit, there are fucking pictures of Trump with these girls, and I know they're kids. I know they're underage. I saw, Michael Wolff saying this. I thought he was full of shit when I was talking on Rumble, but now that I've seen them, I know they're real. That's what would shake you to your core if you're Bongholio. Who the fuck can't recognize that? There is no reason. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's so fucking on the nose. There is no fucking reason it would shake Bongholio to his core to out Democrats as fucking pedophiles or monsters, or if he could come after Larry Summers and say Obama, spied on Trump's campaign, all those things that he was saying, if he could just come out and say those things, he absolutely fucking would. He wouldn't struggle with any of it. It's when he looks at the evidence and went, oh my fucking God, I know that guy. There's no way that girl's 18. That's what he's dealing with. That's what would shake you to your fucking core. Think of it this way. Like if you and we get a job, I do this show, you watch, whatever, and you get a job in law enforcement, high level, you get appointed to the FBI, and you're like, Donald Trump is a fucking monster. And when you get in there, it turns out Donald Trump didn't even know Epstein. And it was Obama it was Michelle Obama was running the whole thing. Like Michelle Obama behind the scenes, right? That's the kind of thing where you'd go, like, your fucking brain would twist, right? That's where you would just lose your goddamn mind. Right? Nothing would be shocking about, like, oh yeah, fucking Dick Cheney, baby eater. Like, we'd go, gee, who couldn't see that coming? But if you went in there and went like, wait a minute, Al Gore caused 9/11, right? You know what I mean? Like, it'd have to be that nuts. It would have to be that shocking. Right? Holy fuck.
On his public persona, beyond public persona, I would say his essential identity as.
Oh yeah, what's his essential identity? I'll tell you what it is. I'm Bangholio. I'm looking for a teepee for my bunghole. Bunghole. I am the great Bangholio. You are all but ants in front of me. I'm looking for a teepee for my bunghole.
The truth teller, blue collar, reach the people type of a guy, and now someone within the occult systems of government. When I mean occult, I mean
oh, shut the fuck up.
Obtuse, occluded, and clandestine. He's struggling with that, and I think anyone would struggle with it.
Again, why? Why would you struggle if it was fucking Hillary Clinton eating a goddamn baby, like in the basement of of Comet Ping Pong? Do you think he'd struggle with that at all? By the way, if he looked at all the evidence and went, oh my God, we're gonna fucking bury Clinton. Look at all this shit where he visited with him. Fuck, I don't have any pictures of Clinton engaged in anything untoward. I got that one back rub thing that somebody else took that looks like a setup. So that people aren't that's not gonna sell it. We're gonna need something worse than that, but it just doesn't exist. But meanwhile, I got Trump getting a lap dance from 14-year-olds with their tops off, laughing at the fact that he jizzed in his pants. That's why his head is exploding. It's the only thing that makes sense.
Do you agree with that? That's just what.
Put it in the comments. Blah, blah. Fuck this dude. None of them want to face it. Okay, I've got to end on this. I've only got a few minutes left, but this is so glorious, and it has to happen. Very seldom, ladies and gentlemen, does like cat and dog shit splash together and make two great tastes that taste great together. The most miserable man on the internet sat down with the queen of cloud cuckoo land, Roseanne Barr. Roseanne Barr talks about the psychological war the Dems are doing. So the Dems, that's okay. The Dems, the Dems are apparently manipulating everyone and making them all upset about this bullshit Epstein stuff, which isn't a thing, but is totally a thing. This is Roseanne Barr on Greg Kelly's show. You might want to turn away. So if some of you may need to leave the room, or perhaps try putting a burlap sack over your head and breathe deep.
That Roseanne Barr, welcome to Newsmax. It really is a thrill to see you on TV, kind of in person.
That's how you've always seen her, dipshit.
Welcome and congratulations on the new documentary. How are you?
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here. I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm on a bunch of mood stabilizers, and my son has a cattle prod so that if I start talking about aliens and cloning, he'll shock me just out of frame. You look miserable.
Pretty good. You know, I feel like cancel culture is kind of on the way out, but not exactly.
Wait, did she make a documentary on cancel culture? Now?
How do you feel about that? I think it's great with Trump back in, but I think we still have a very touchy culture, and if you say the wrong thing, they still want to take you out.
Yeah, if you say the wrong thing, like, I don't know, Trump's in the Epstein evidence, and then you get a call from the FBI, and they're like, hey, buddy, how'd you like to be canceled out of a third-floor window?
Yeah, I think they do, but I think it's harder for them because, everybody's woke up to the fact, or I should
everybody's woke now? It's woke on woke crime.
Say awoke or whatever. Woke up, but I hate to say woke.
Awakened. Oh, the word you're looking for is awakened.
But everybody's...
Jesus Christ.
Kind of woke up to the fact of how they do
They have awakened to the fact.
things and how corrupt they are and how it's just a political.
What somebody just said, was Roseanne always a monster? No, Roseanne was kind of a drag and a pain in the ass. But as a female comedian, you know, you could take that as attitude. And I won't necessarily say that, like, there are male comedians who are dicks too, kind of all the time. And they just live that way because they live their kind of on-stage persona because that's their personality rides on it. And hers, you know, that sassy fuck it attitude was what she was selling after a while, and it beats having to come up with punchlines all the time. So she can just, you know, sell attitude, as it were, right? But now she's fucking awful. Yeah.
Tool of the Democrat Party. So I don't think they can fool many more of us for too much longer.
You know, a tool of the Democrat Party, but I want to ask you, do you think it's also becoming a tool of everybody? You know, I see some people, you know, they say the wrong thing in MAGA, they may be MAGA, and all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, you can't say stuff like Trump is all over the Epstein evidence, and there are clearly pictures of him with Epstein's girls in there, and like if you bring that up, you get canceled by MAGA. I don't know what's happening.
At least online, sometimes it looks worse than it is.
Yes, a subset of a subset of a subset of people that show up online that either, you know, write things on shitter or bots or whatever, which is why I only take the criticisms of people I'm in the personal space of seriously. Everybody else I throw aside, unless, of course, it's, you know, somebody telling me that my work on Queer as Folk was magic, and of course it was.
But sometimes I see our side employing the same techniques and tactics. I hope they all go away for everybody.
Yeah.
It's a concern of mine. Do you hear me on that?
Oh, I know. Sorry. I thought this was about, like, you know, cancel culture and people getting shunned from the society. Greg just doesn't get invited to parties anymore because he's a fucking miserable bastard. So nobody wants to be around him, so they can't stand him. So he doesn't get, that's what that is. Okay, sorry, I was confused. I thought he was actually dealing with some sort of deep cultural issue, and in reality, it's just like Dershowitz complaining that he's not invited to shit in the Hamptons anymore.
I do, you know, free speech always has, you know, some danger to it, but I still support it for the most part, unless it's...
For the most part?
Just horrible hate speech and, you know, trying to get people all riled up to do something bad.
Well, I got to tell you that sounds like something MAGA would get mad about. That's like the kind of thing MAGA would cancel for. Sorry, horrible hate speech. I mean, that sounds like how you define, you know, the most of the speakers at Talking Points USA.
I hear you, but then again, you know what? That's what they said. If you had a question about the election, you're trying to rile up somebody to get some to do bad. That's what they said.
To do bad. To do. You're trying to rile. You can't say anything about this. Especially if you say, walk on down there and I'm going to join you. I'm actually not. You know, walk down there peacefully and patriotically. But if you get there and Mike Pence doesn't have the strength to do what's right, then you're going to have to be stronger. You won't have a country and you're going to have to fight. Uh-huh.
January 6th. So I'm kind of like a free speech absolutist.
They seem to ignore...
You're like you're kind... Nothing says free speech absolutist like saying I'm kind of like a free speech absolutist. Way to really... thanks for the hard sell, Greg. He's the leader that our time needs.
They seem to make mountains out of molehills when it comes from our side, and then they make molehills out of mountains when it comes on their side, you know?
What do we just go? Do we go after it with a belt sander, or how do you go about? So what was our mountain that we molehilled?
It's a psychological war and an information war, and
that's right. Or in the case of January 6th, an actual fist fight war.
People have to figure out what they're going to believe.
Sure. Yeah. I agree. Let's all figure out what we're gonna believe. Don't let the facts dictate it. Don't let reality dictate it. Just decide.
I'm curious.
And they have to stand strong in it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, basically, absolutely.
Can you tell everybody what your politics are? If it's easy to sum up, maybe it's not.
Yes. Democrats drink baby brain juice, and Republicans are sent here by God to crack down on a pedophile network, except when they don't, and then I don't know what to believe, and I will just ignore the entire conversation. And also vote and don't vote.
I saw you with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. during his campaign for president. I happen to be a big fan. I love the Maha thing. And you were there right when he was kind of talking about a kind of a bizarre moment from his life.
Yeah, like most of them.
Involving a bear and Central
Yeah, and a dead bear cub that he dumped in Central Park.
Yeah.
and whatever. It was all kind of cool. And
Like the rich, entitled shithead he is.
also bizarre, but what are your politics, Roseanne?
Well, I'm,
Are you pro-dumping bears in the park or not? Come on.
MAGA, and I love our president, and I just want problems to be solved and stop
Here I am with a cardboard cutout at the county fair.
being,
That's the thumb he puts up everyone's ass.
exploited for fundraising purposes.
Well, he is a big fan of yours, and let's just
Yeah, you can tell by that picture especially. Holy shit, look at her. Look, this one's like, all right, I'm doing my smile for the thing
Fundraising
picture.
purposes.
Look at the second one. Ugh, she's a little too close. She's ruffling my jacket. I don't know who smells worse, her or my diaper. That's DeSantis and Lewandowski back there. Is that doing that? Yeah. I don't know who the lady in the yellow
Well,
is.
he is a big fan of yours, and let's just appreciate that for a moment. Everybody, I'd like to play C06, if you don't mind.
Yes, I don't mind. Play C06. You mean cut 6? It says cut 6 on your fucking paper and you read it as C.
She had the #1 show on television.
Until she didn't. Until she called, she insinuated that a black woman resembled an ape. And I don't know, nobody could figure out why that was a problem.
And I'll tell you, they just couldn't stand it, could they, huh?
No, yeah, it was just the ratings. That's what they hated. It wasn't the fact that she said something that fucking awful and meant it and then doubled down on it a fucking week later. It was her ratings were just too good, coming in third.
They couldn't stand it, but everybody knows that show was a monster. 28 million people, she doubled and tripled, and they took heat. If they had 3 million, they'd be happy if it was the right person, but you are the right person. You're fantastic.
So true about television and the rest.
Real television, which, thank God, Greg Kelly is not on.
It's an awesome, he has great appreciation, doesn't he? And he's not afraid to celebrate things. One of the things I like
Yeah, until he's done with you.
about him.
That's right, Greg. He hasn't called recently, has he? I mean, you tried, but...
Me too, and he's funny.
Me too, and he's funny. And cut. And he's funny, especially what he talks about women. What? Like, that was the edit there. That was, yeah. It was the Ambien talking. Oh, God. Liquor and Xanax. Yeah, that should be the name of the cop show that Greg Kelly and Roseanne do together. Liquor and Xanax. Together they fall in love and fight crime. Yeah, golf. Trump is funny. No, he's not. He's gross. All right, I gotta run. I will not have a show tomorrow, kids, because of family stuff. So just letting you know, regular show on Wednesday. I appreciate the patience around my family stuff when it's necessary, and this is sort of, for me, about as deep as it gets, short somebody keeling over, and hopefully nobody does that anytime soon. But I adore you guys, and I will see you on Wednesday morning for the morning show. Appreciate it. All right, take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else.
not English.
Oh, you bet it wasn't the kindest precaution. No, it's just piping.
Take off, eh?
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
Call me Snake.
I'm your huckleberry.
Hail to the king, baby. Groovy.
I'm dead sexy. I'm dead sexy.
Leon getting larger.
We came for nothing! Oh, God, that's all I need!
He's a genius, eh?
Just follow me.
I love lamb. Oh, hello there! Oh, hello there!
Negative function. Negative function.
You think you know something about everything, don't you?
Ever served time?
See this? This is my boomstick!
I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now. Jack and shit. Jack left town.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
That was really cool, by the way.
All right. Stop right there, and I'll bring back the sun.
A chat with you and somehow death loses its sting. Shut up and never say anything again as long as you live.